Team kill tech.
Well, it doesn't really work as planned. I was supposed to, not appear initially, and then the door was supposed to open. It's like, oh, you've entered the archive vault. Fuck. Fuck. I wish that was better executed. I just forgot to attach the overlay. But welcome to the what the fuck is the name? the the pointlessly irrelevant, somewhat silly archives. Or as abbreviated, the Piss Archives, because in this show I will be taking a piss. In terms of not literally physically taking a piss, that would get me deplatformed really quick. But as in, I will be figuratively taking a piss, as in just talking shit, because everything that I'll say on this broadcast, in the grand scheme of things, just doesn't matter and has no relevance to anything besides my own psychosis. This whole this whole program is that you're witnessing at this very moment is more of a real time sort of look into the mind of Zach Rassman. And so you really get to understand just how fucked up I really am. But I thank you guys who are here right now, who are watching. I appreciate it. When I initially said that I hope my mic is on, by the way. I see the levels fluctuating on OBS, but I don't know exactly if anyone can hear me. So if I could get some confirmation, I'd appreciate that. But when I was when I made the poll, wondering when people wanted to see me stream, at first I asked about a few weeks ago, maybe close to a month ago, do you guys want to see streams of me just ranting and rambling about my own thoughts and my process for writing and production and stuff like that? Just because this show has oh great, thanks. Just because this show has sort of become so integral to my day-to-day life. I think about the show every day, right? So it's sort of consumed my mind, and I feel as though whenever I talk to people, I'm always talking about the production of my show because it's just so important to me, which may seem pretty funny to some of you. The fact that a show, a Machinima show, that doesn't even get it gets less than 1,000 views could mean so much to me. But I love doing it. It's fun for me. I've always loved filmmaking and telling stories, no matter how stupid. So you can see why I have a good time with it. But yeah, so I didn't know if anybody really cared to want to really hear me. When I started this channel, I sort of feared after a while that people are only really coming here for the Machinima content, and they don't really care about me as a person. And so that was a bit of an insecurity for myself. And so I was just hoping with these live streams I could sort of better connect with you guys as my audience, because you guys, for a small and finite of an audience that I've cultivated here with this show, I feel as though I'm still very appreciative, no matter what the number is. Just as the fact that people are tuning into my stuff alone is really cool, and so I appreciate everybody that watches my stuff. But yeah, so that was a big insecurity of mine, and so then I did the poll recently where I was like, okay, what day do you guys want me to stream? Because last week I was gonna stream, that was my plan. But I ended up spending all my time that day making the graphics because I thought I could do it last minute. But turns out it took a lot more time than I expected because I wanted to get the graphics just right. I hope the graphics in the beginning were cool, like the little standby slate, and then like the what you were supposed to see. Well, you did see it. The door opening added those overlays. I thought that was cool. Um, but but yeah, so I spent my last week doing that, or not last week, but last Saturday doing that, and then so today I was like, all right, cool. I got nothing going on. I set up everything yesterday to stream. Like I set up my OBS, made sure everything was good. I finalized, sort of reworked and finalized the track that you guys heard in the opening, Standby Slate. I'm actually a really big fan of that track. I'm new to music production, so a lot of my music is very like simple and simplistic in terms of like the instrument and orientation. I have to buy more like sound packs and stuff so I can actually like mess around a lot more. But no, it's just been a lot of fun. It's almost therapeutic in a way, sort of like I like to problem solve. That's what sort of attracts me to like filmmaking is like problem solving. I come up with a problem or like a scene in my head. It's like, okay, how am I going to execute that? And that's the solution that I come up with. So it's the same principle with music. Let me know if I'm talking like too fast, by the way. I understand that someone when they listen to me, it's like it's like I'm sort of like I'm sort of a person that's just I don't know how you describe it, like a fluid consciousness. Like I just say whatever's on my mind at any point, and so like sometimes it could sound like incoherent rambling. So just let me know if I'm making any sense or if I'm if I need to dial it back. But I'm just sort of building up to this like the point of this stream right now. But yeah, so I made that track. I was really happy with it, and I'm hoping to make more tracks that I can actually like say like I'm actually proud of. I like just the sound of that track. It's almost like it's nice, like sort of like music. I've honestly, I don't know if this sounds egotistical, but I've been the past few days I've been listening to that track and just like walking outside, just like taking walks and listening to the track on repeat. I don't know, because there's just something like so like soothing about the instrumentation, and like it's calming in a way. I don't know. But yeah, I asked you guys what days you'd want to see me stream, and some people said like voted for the Monday Tuesday option, and honestly, I was sort of down with that because like Monday Tuesday is like I'm okay with streaming on a Monday Tuesday. If anything, I prefer to do it on a Monday, honestly, because it's like nobody's really doing much of anything on a Monday, and it's the stereotype of like, oh, Mondays suck on average, and so like to just do this, to talk to you guys, interact with you guys on a Monday would be cool. And then some people obviously voted for the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I was gonna do one yesterday, but I was preparing for today, so I didn't end up doing it yesterday. But we're doing it today, and yeah, and then I had a few people who also chose just like it doesn't really matter. I always try to put that like extra poll in option where it's just so like mean and rude to myself, or like it's sort of like self-deprecating in a way, where it's like the poll I think was like one of the options was no, I don't care, I don't want to watch, you're dumb and stupid and you're a loser and I don't watch losers, loser. So I don't know, that kind of makes me laugh, but it's also like, yeah, I'm not like important by any means, so there's no reason that you need to tune in and listen to me, but it's cool for the people that are, so thanks for that. But we're here now, and just hours before the stream I was actually setting up lights, so you can't see it, none of them are in camera, which is awesome, because all that fucking work I did and you can't even fucking see it. But I just pinned up some like LED lights around like the top perimeter of my room, and so that's why it's giving this sort of like blue glowy backdrop. And I thought that was really cool because well, one, you see the separation, like the room around me is engulfed in blue, and then like my monitor is shining a white light on me, so it creates this contrast in the image, so I pop out a lot more. I thought that was cool. And also it sort of stays on theme with like this being in the vault, because when you go into that specific vault in game, it's like it's sort of engulfed in like this blue, so I thought that would just work with that. And also favorite color is blue. Don't know if you could tell, but yeah. So I guess we could just jump right into what I want to talk about. I mean, I have some other topics besides just talking about my show. Like I have some more like actual like relevant topics, but the reason again why this is called the pointless, irrelevant, somewhat silly not podcast archives is that a lot of the stuff that I'll be going over will become irrelevant within like the span of a week, typically, or like a month, or maybe even a year, so you look back on this, you watch it, and it's like a time capsule of like bullshit that doesn't matter anymore. It just doesn't hold any weight, but so yeah, I guess I'll just touch on that really quick. Actually, no, I don't have to. Let's just get into what we got to do today. So let me pull this up. So I actually wrote like a small little outline here. So the point of this first stream was what I had mentioned in the post on my community tab, like a little few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. I was feeling at the time I was like sort of feeling very obsessive and burnt out with the show, and I was like, I needed an outlet to just to express myself, because otherwise, because I would just talk to myself normally about this stuff. Like I have this thing where if something's on my mind, I'll just talk through it to myself. Like I'll have a conversation with myself. Again, it's part of my like problem solving, the way my brain works. If I have a problem, I'll talk through it like to myself. I'll either speak it out loud, or I'll have a conversation in my head and I'll talk about it to myself and work it out. And so I was constantly doing that while in the production of the show, and I was like, it was kind of like driving me insane. Not in like not really, but I was just sort of like my obsession with the show was sort of taking a toll on me. So that's why I had to step back. And after the upload of the premiere, I made a point to myself to not work on the show for a little while. So I have like my entire like season outline. I have the season basically like outlined every episode through already. It's a lot more broad in some episodes. Like some episodes there's just like a few like beats, but for the most part the whole season's already like I've already figured out what I'm going to do, right? And that was part of the process of beginning this season, because so I guess I'll start in the beginning. So at the end of season 1, I already knew what I had a good idea of what I wanted to do for season 2, because like this is probably not like easy, or like it's probably not obvious, but I always had the plan was to always go this route with the show, was to sort of like season 1 tells like a bunch of different like stories that don't really tell like a finite narrative or like a singular narrative. They all are like their own like stories and whatnot, with sometimes with different characters, but then you'd see some reoccurring characters like Red Team or from episode 1, appearing in episode 4, or Zach and Jacob appearing in episode 1, 3, 6, 7, and 8, right? So that was the idea. But with the show, from the very beginning, I wanted to do this, where the idea was to make the first season sort of like a homage to all of the machinima that had come before me, that I sort of grew up on. Like specifically, I made a note of this in my commentaries, regarding like the big point of inspiration for me was matchmaking. That was the sort of the show that I grew up on in terms of machinima. That's what I grew up on. That and Red versus Blue, but I wanted to go for more like a matchmaking angle, because Red versus Blue, it has a place in my heart, but I don't really find like now that I'm older, I don't find enjoyment out of too much enjoyment out of like the shows that take themselves too seriously, which is ironic because I've taken a more serious approach with season 2, but like I don't know, Red vs. Blue just kind of lost its spark for me. When I was a kid, I really liked ironically, I actually really liked seasons like seasons 6 through 10, which I think was the Reconstruction era, and then the Freelancer saga, or where the fuck. So, but now that I'm older, I actually like the earlier like Blood Gulch Chronicles a lot more, just because they're more focused on jokes, and I still like those other seasons, but they have a lot more flaws in them, just specifically because you're meant to take the story a lot more seriously in those. You sort of have to also think. It requires you to also think more like critically about what you're watching. It's not just like a silly like fun like machinima show anymore. It's like a real thing with characters that have like actual depth to them, and like they have seasonal arcs in which they go from one point to the other in by the end of the season. They've changed over time, and they follow these like wide branching narratives across like multiple seasons, and it's like it requires you to pay a lot more attention to what you're watching, and as a result, you're going to be more critical of what's happening in the story. And so for season 1, I just wanted to go for a more like matchmaking approach, where it's like each episode doesn't, because matchmaking did a similar thing to my show, which I sort of tried to emulate, which was in the beginning, because what I like so much about matchmaking is it seems very like genuine. Is this year, and also question, when will the next episode come out? Yeah, so yeah, it's sort of what I was touching on before I went on this tangent. Yeah, I tend to do that. So the next season, or the next episode of the season, I plan on getting it out by the end of, I want to say by the end of March. So the way I have it is season 2 is going to be about 10 episodes in length, right? That's my projected timeline, at least. And so I don't have an exact date or like timeline for like sequentially when episodes are going to come out, but I can say that I plan on releasing the next one sometime this month. It's not going to be as long as the first episode. The first episode, for people who don't really come here for like the longer form content, I understand. I'm sorry, but I felt like everything in that episode in the season 1 premiere was necessary in telling the story that I was planning to tell this season, and so. It's fucking 40 minutes long, so I understand if people don't have the time to consume that content all at once, but you can go back and watch it if you want, like periodically, and finish it up. But so to answer your question, it's going to be much shorter than season or than episode 1, so I would say it'll probably be done. I want to say by the end of the month, because to be honest, I haven't even began to write it yet. I made sure that to take like a bit of a break after the production concluded with the premiere, because I was just burning myself out and like pushing myself too hard to get that one out. Because I just kept like obsessing over it, and then it got to a point where, if you've ever created anything, it gets to a point where your obsession over making something, like at the beginning, it's like, oh my god, this is so good, I love what I have here, this is a great idea, right? And then you sort of, there's like a bit of a zigzag where it's like, this is an awesome idea, I can't wait to do this, and then you get to the point of doing it, and then it's like, okay, this actually really works. Okay, awesome. I can't wait to put this together in like an edit or something. And then it goes down, and then it like immediately, like, it's like, oh fuck, this is not, never mind. This is not as good as I planned it, as I thought it was going to be, right? Like, this sucks, right? And then it's like, it goes up a little bit. It's like, it still kind of sucks, but it's like, I guess it could be, it could be worse, right? This is fine. And then it goes back down again. And it's like, this fucking sucks. And then it goes back up a little bit, and it's like, whatever, I guess it's fine. Basically what I'm getting at is, the more you work on something, the more you obsess over your work, the more you only start to see the flaws. And that's when you have to take a step back and just look at it like as a whole, like, picture kind of deal. Because that's what was happening with the production of the episode. I was dropping in like morale and motivation, because like I would get to a point where I'm putting it together and I'm like, oh my god, like, my initial idea for the episode was like so good, and then all I can see is like the shit that just doesn't work, or the shit that I wish I would improve upon, but I can't, right? And so that's a struggle. I made note of that in like a post on the channel, just like my struggle with that. But yeah. Yeah, it's just really, that was just really tiring, that whole thing, the production of episode 1. I was pushing myself way too hard, and I needed a break, and so I'm taking a break now. But after this stream, I plan on actually getting some work done for episode 2. It's gonna be the episode 2 is just gonna be a fun episode. I can say that. It's not like really like episode 1. There were like some serious, more like dramatic, grounded moments. Episode 2 is just sort of like a return to form in a way, where it focuses more on the jokes and more on like an upbeat tone, right? But there's a point to all of it. There's a point to the drama and all of it. I didn't want to just introduce drama because I was like, because I wanted to make the show boring. I introduced drama because I felt like, for the story that I'm telling this season, I wanted you to care about the characters and what happens. And I felt if I were to up the stakes, the only way you would care about these characters enough, like to fear for what would happen to them with this whole like villain character entering the picture, is that if you actually cared about them and could connect with them and could relate to them on some level. So that's why there's a bit of like a fleshing out with like an arc with Zach, and a little bit with Jacob too. But yeah, so I wanted to take a more realistic, authentic approach to like specifically the dialogue of this season. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So let me just start from what I was saying. So yeah, season 1 and 2, I had sort of planned it out broadly in my head of what I wanted to do. I sort of wanted to replicate what what Matchmaking did years ago with their Machinima, and so because they made it to where like what I find so charming and likable about that show is that you can clearly tell that the that the guys making the show are like inexperienced and they don't know what the fuck they're doing, but they're just having fun with it, right? Like they're just like telling like random stories that make no sense, But it's just like, and it's almost borders on the line of like lol, random equals funny or whatever. But yeah, I mean, so I wanted to go with something like that where um, there's no real like story, there's no real like through line narrative for like the first few episodes, and then like the later half of the season, there's an actual like underlying narrative that gets slowly gets brought to the surface, and then the characters have to deal with that and are now put in this narrative, right? So that's what I wanted to do with season one. And so then season two, now we're jumping off from where season one left off with that said narrative. And this narrative was sort of broadly outlined from the beginning from before even the production of season one. I knew I wanted to do something like this. I wanted to go in this direction. And I was sort of like starting season two, I was sort of like worried that like, oh, are people gonna like this? Are they gonna care about this? Like, are they just gonna think this is like dumb and they would want me to do like they just want me to go back to making like silly machinima, you know? So I was worried about that, but I mean, I think the first episode got like really positive feedback, and so I was happy to hear that. But honestly, I was actually like, I was looking for like negative or constructive feedback, because like I said, my confidence of like the quality of the episode started to like drop as I was getting closer to the end date, to completing it. And so I was waiting for just like comments to be like, what the fuck is this? This is so boring, like all this shit, you know? And I didn't get that. So, I mean, that was a relief, I guess. But with season two, like I said, so I wanted people to care about the direction that I'm going here. And so I felt like the only way to do that would be to make you care about the characters. So I wanted to start taking the approach to characters a lot more seriously. Like, for example, I mean, Zach and Jacob, there's really like, they're pretty much like one-dimensional, you know, in nature, at least in the first season, right? Because it's like Jacob is the easily frustrated, argumentative friend who, you know, doesn't believe in Zach's bullshit, right? And then by contrast, Zach is the sort of like overly like enthusiastic, sort of in a way like troublemaker, you know, where he's luring Jacob in to going along with his shenanigans, because he believes them to be true. And, you know, what I find really funny about all the times when Jacob is like, what the fuck, that's so dumb, this is so stupid, like, you believe in this shit, really? You're just pulling my fucking leg. Every time that happens, Zach is right, because it turns out to be true, right? Like, even in the Ghost Player episode, right? Again, underrated episode in my opinion. Zach at the beginning of the episode talks about how the Ghost Player is like, the Ghost Player is you know, like this like ancient, like mysterious, you know, like entity that was talked about on like online forums or whatever. And Jacob's like, what the fuck, that's so stupid, a Ghost Player, are you kidding me? Like the Halo 2 lockout ghost, yeah, whatever, the fucking bullshit, right? But then they actually get face to face with it, and then, you know, Zach is proven right? But then the wool is pulling underneath both of them, you know, when it's revealed that, oh, it's just a prank, right? So it isn't actually real. It wasn't real, right? But then, in like a double like twist, I guess, it's revealed that the Ghost Player is actually real. You know, so it's stupid, but like, there's like a fun little like back and forth there that I really liked about those characters. And so then in season two, I wanted to sort of evolve the characters in a way where they just feel a bit more real, like real people rather than like archetypes, right? And so you know, because at the end of season 1, in episode 8, there's like a little small little thing that I added, and I talked about this in a commentary where it's like it almost feels like an 80s action movie, like Cheese, by the end, where it's like Zach and Jacob are like they got nowhere else to go. They're surrounded. This is it, right? And so they come to this like sort of thesis between each other where they come to like an understanding, or Zach is like, Jacob, I'm sorry that I made you waste all this time looking for Easter eggs. I just wanted to have fun with you, man. And Jacob's like, yeah, I know I could be a dick sometimes, but like I really just like hanging out with you. It's meant to be like this stupid, like cheesy moment that like shows that, you know, at the end of the day, you know, for as much as they piss each other off, or as much as they're irritated by each other, they're ultimately friends at the end of the day, and they share that bond that binds them and allows them to continue to support one another, or to like be there for one another, right? And so I wanted to carry that into season 2, and so we see in the first episode, the way I did this was because I always wanted to tell this story, but I knew that I needed to take a different approach to the character writing, and so I needed to add more depth. And so what do? You give Zach, because he's like this main character, right? It's revealed, you know, that he's the believer. He's the one in the prophecy, right? The bullshit fucking prophecy, right? It's worded so like vaguely and stupid, right? And then but he's revealed to be the believer. And so it's like, wouldn't it be interesting if the guy in the first season, who is always like super stoked to like find out something new, and is like really you know, just happy to like fuck around on a video game and be grateful that he has these games in his life to just like waste time and have fun with. What if you tell him that his favorite game is about to be like erased forever, at least the online functionality of it, and you also tell him that he is the only way that they have a chance at stopping this? How would you feel in that moment? Well, I would feel immense fucking pressure in that moment. I'd be like, holy shit. Like I wouldn't know how to handle it. I'd be like, I would be like, I would have to take a step back, and I'd be like, no. That's not me. I'm not the guy. I'm You're not the guy. You're not even close to being the guy. I had a guy, but now I don't. You are not the guy. It's Mike Ehrmantraut from Breaking Bad. But Walter, you saved Halo, Walter. But yeah, so I thought that was interesting, you know, to make my character, who we view him in the first season as like this like super like joyful, curious, like high sort of like energy, optimistic figure in the first season. And we sort of flip that on his head. And it's like, oh, now this character has to like take a step back, and he isn't as eager to push forward. He actually pulls himself back, and then that's where Jacob steps in, and he steps in as the friend, and he's not just there to tell Zach like in the first season. He would just be there to simply tell him like, Zach, you're fucking blowing this out of proportion. This is fucking stupid. Why do you care so much about this? I mean, he says that, but not in like the way he would say it in season 1. He doesn't like immediately come off as like an asshole and tone deaf, right? He's there to comfort his friend and be there for his friend, because he understands how much these games mean to him, right? And so he knows that this is probably hard to hear. And so he wants to be there for him. And so that's sort of like, that sets up the arcs for both characters that I'll continue to write for with the season going on. But that's just one example of how I wanted to, how I like figured like how could I tell the story in this first episode and set up the rest of the season, and also make sure you cared about these characters, because that was the other thing. So with the introduction of this like villain, and like, you know, knowing that they're gonna probably have to, like, down the line they're gonna fight Microsoft, like it's said in the first episode that they gotta battle Microsoft to take Halo back, right? So to make the audience care about that, about what's going on in this season, you want to care about the characters, because if you don't care about the characters, why the hell are you gonna care about what happens to them, you know? And so you need to find a way to make the characters relatable, and make the audience concerned that like something bad could happen to them, right? And so that's when the introduction of Skullface comes in. And so this is getting into like my writing process and like scripting the episode, but the idea for so there's an A plot and a B plot in this first episode. The A plot is, Zach and Jacob and their sort of like story. And then the B plot is the story of Brad and Danny, right? And so that right there, the way I wanted to do a B plot, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So I thought of, initially, I was like, I want to introduce this villain, but I want to do it in a way where it not only builds up like the tension for the episode, but so that we see, the stakes are high for this season and what could also happen to our main cast. And so initially, so what I figured out was that so I wanted to have like a parallel story of Zach and Jacob, right? And so then I have Brad and Danny, and so in this plot, this B plot, we sort of see like a sort of like an inverse dynamic between the two. So Zach and Jacob, they are there for each other. We clearly see that they are like, they have a strong bond, and they're true friends, right? Like Jacob is there for him when he needs him, when he's at his lowest, when he's weak, right? And so then I wanted to sort of contrast that and show a different kind of relationship, right? And so we see Brad and Danny, and it's clear by that plot that their relationship isn't as strong, and we can infer based on the dialogue and the context in the dialogue that they were once, like, they did once have like a strong foundation for a relationship, right? Like they played Xbox, they met on Xbox Live and they played almost every day, right? So in Danny's mind, they were friends, right? And maybe as the writer, I think maybe in Brad's mind they were friends too, right? But as the years went on, Brad's a little bit older than Danny. I make a point of that. Brad's in college, Danny's still in high school, right? And so Brad has sort of like slowly over the years has sort of stopped caring about his online presence as much, and has started like focusing more on real life matters, like like the people in his real life. He's grown more connected with those people than he is with the people online. And I actually showed this to like one of my friends watched the episode, and they made it out to be like Brad is like an asshole. But I didn't necessarily see him as like an asshole when I wrote him, when I wrote his character. Because I can actually really relate to Brad. because I once like really only had like online friends through like Xbox Live, and we would like talk on in party chat like every day, and then eventually we moved on to Skype and we talked a lot over there. But then like over time, I just stopped playing, or I just stopped like playing with them as much. I don't really know what happens. I guess like but that's the thing. It's just like life kind of gets in the way sometimes, and it's a sad like reality that like you had those relationships one day, and then like the next day they can just be gone, and they can like you don't talk to them like ever again. But that's just sometimes it's just how life works, and it sucks, but that's just how it is. And so writing from that perspective, I was like, Brad isn't necessarily like being like an asshole when he says that he doesn't care about like playing this game anymore, and like subtextually saying that he doesn't care about playing with Danny anymore. It's just more sort of thing like he just doesn't value Danny as much of a priority as Danny does, because Danny probably still is of the mindset like they are very close friends, and maybe Danny doesn't even have that many friends that he can call like his best friends, or like really close, and they can talk about stuff like that. And so Danny is sort of like he's clinging on to this like relationship that just isn't there, or it's just not as strong as it once was, because Brad has sort of moved on. And I don't think him moving on is necessarily a bad thing. I mean, maybe he could have, not been as like maybe his response to like Danny, questioning him about like how he values their relationship, maybe he could have went about that in like a way that didn't sound as like aggressive. But we're human, we make those mistakes, and in the heat of the moment when you feel like you're getting pressured and you feel like you're backed up against the wall, you're gonna sort of try to bite back. And so that's what I thought Brad was doing in that moment. But showing that, it's like there's you clearly see like a paralleling dynamic almost, right? Where Zach and Jacob they have a very strong relationship, and they're able to talk to each other like very about like a lot of like personal stuff, or a lot of things that are weighing heavy on their mind, right? And then you contrast that with Brad and Danny, who I make a point of. Brad doesn't ask Danny a single question about like what he's doing, how his life is, like what college he's going to when he leaves high school. Like, Danny's the one that's engaging in the conversation, asking all the questions. Brad is just like being responsive. He does not showing any interest into Danny, and that was in Danny's life, and that was intentional, because it's showing that it was to show that Danny was trying to find any angle he could get into sort of like sort of make a connection with Brad, but Brad just wasn't reciprocating as much in the relationship. And so it's just showing the contrast in the relationships, and how like Brad and Danny's relationship has sort of deteriorated over time. And it's sad, it's sad because it's told from the perspective of Danny, where he's like it's sort of a shock to him at just how like just how severed their relationship is, or like how diminished it is, to where he used to be able to call them friends, but now they're more acquaintances, right? But then, so with that, you sort of the audience. I'm expecting the audience to empathize with the character of Danny in this moment, and probably people won't empathize with Brad, but I don't see him as like a bad guy. He's just a fucking frat guy. He's just a frat guy that is just tired of playing video games, and he felt like hopping on because he hadn't talked to this guy that he met on Xbox Live over 10 years ago. He hadn't talked to him in a while, so he just felt like hopping on and playing a couple of games before he got to hang out with his friends. So then when Skullface is introduced, and the threat is there that he kills Brad, right? in game. He doesn't actually kill him. So for people who might have been confused there on actually what happened in that moment, the Skullface character, he has like this like sort of like mod. He's like a modded system to where basically he can insta-ban people by killing them, right? And it doesn't just ban their account, it bans their console. And so that's why when and you can pick up on this with like the context clues within the dialogue, right? Because Danny mentions like when he's like, you know, because Brad's like, Danny's like, where do they go? And then Brad is like, they probably just got off and didn't bother telling us because it's clear that they didn't see them leave the game, right? And so then Danny checks his dashboard and he reads out the fact that it says that Ryan and the other guys are offline. And so that's meant to sort of like clue into the audience, like, okay, so they're not, their console isn't just off, but the account itself is offline. And that can only happen if like the console is sort of if the console is completely off, right? And then so you could say like, okay, well that's not really like too suspicious. Like, okay, sure, they all just like went offline, right? Whatever. But you know what adds on to the idea that the player banned them like completely is that when Brad is killed, you hear the 3 beeps, or you hear like the respawn sound from the game, which is typically like 4 beeps where it goes boop, 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 right? But the 4th beep isn't there, and that is to clue in the audience that, oh, okay, Brad didn't respawn, so whatever happened to him after the kill, right? After he's killed, he didn't respawn in the game. And so then you can clue in based on the previous dialogue that it's like, okay, he's probably banned. And then when Danny asks Skullface, what did you do? And Skullface says, I did what was necessary. It's basically like writing on the walls. It's pretty much like heavily implied that he banned them, right? And so then you see Brad's dead, and then Danny dies, right? And so when Brad dies, you're meant to sort of have a bit of like a sinking feeling in your mind about it, because Danny, you know, he really cared about Brad. He thought he was like one of his best friends, and you know, he sort of just came to the realization that their friendship might not be as strong as it ever was and ever will be again, right? But he still cared about him. He still wanted to play with him and hang out and maybe still connect on some level, right? But now, since Brad is banned, he can never talk to him ever again because their only connection was through Xbox Live. And so they can never talk to each other ever again. They can never meet up. And so that really hurts Danny, because now it's like, well, before he found out, and, you know, earlier he found out that their friendship isn't as strong as he thought, and now he can't even talk to the guy to maybe like rekindle a friendship. So he's sort of like at a loss there. But I'm expecting the audience to also be agreeing with what Skullface is saying, because Skullface is saying, like, you know, he was never your friend. He might have been on your friends list, but he's not your friend, right? Like, he's just a guy that you met online that you would play with. You know, you didn't exchange addresses. You guys never met up outside of in the real world. You know, so you're not friends, right? And it was clear that he didn't view you as a friend at this point. So why do you care, right? Like, stop wasting your time. And so it's like you see both sides there, and I like that, especially because now that I've made a point to highlight the dynamics, you know, between Zach and Jacob, and then Danny and Brad. Now that we've introduced this threat that kills Brad and kills Danny, when Danny sees Brad get killed and subsequently banned, right? And never to talk to him again, never to converse with him ever again. That is sort of I want the audience to think in the back of their head like, oh shit. We just saw how much Zach really leans on Jacob for like a cushion, for support, for security. What if Jacob is banned, right? What happens to Zach? What happens if Zach's rock is pulled from under him? Is he going to slip? What's going to happen? Is he going to be able to do it on his own? Like, those are the thoughts that I want to be in the audience's head. So that was the idea for like the writing process broadly of the episode, was just figuring out those two dynamics and then writing like a plot around them. So that's that for now. I know I went on long just about like the writing and brainstorming process of the episode. I hope it was interesting. I hope it wasn't fucking boring. But now I'd like to get into the actual means of like productions. So the writing process was like the pre-production, and then after pre-production, I started getting into the process of actually putting together the episode. And so I'm gonna take a sip of coffee real quick. Fuck, before starting this stream, I was like feeling really tired. Because setting up these lights that you still can't fucking see, really sort of like drained me, because I was like this whole fucking time reaching to put the LED strips on the wall, and I was just getting really tired, and it was like I had the fan off, so I was like sweating. It was a fucking mess. But yeah, the next thing was getting the cast together, right? And so you guys know that I sent out, or I made a video asking for auditions. Now I got auditions two ways. I'm heavily invested. I've never even heard about this. About to binge all the episodes. Oh shit, sweet. Awesome. That's pretty cool. How the fuck did you find this stream if you've never watched any of the episodes? So like the slides, fuck. So when I made the casting call, right? I uploaded it to my channel, and I said, like, hey, guys, there's, like, sample scripts down below. You can read for these characters, and you'll get paid for the roles, right? Depending on the, depending on the role that you're selected for, it might just be for this episode, or it might be for, like, a recurring character, right? And then that will be, like, consistent pay, where you get, like, paid per episode, right? Rather than just a one-time gig, right? But I just want to touch on a small little thing. When I was writing out like the community tabs for like saying like, okay guys, here's like the samples, here's all this stuff, I put slides instead of sides, and for once it wasn't because of my dyslexia. I was just fucking stupid. I'm just dumb. So for those that don't know, sides are like just like a piece of the script that is only the character's lines, right? It's meant specifically for one character, and it's just all their lines for a script. That way you can just send that to an actor or a voice actor, and they can just rehearse their lines or just record their lines straight up. They don't have to go through all the bullshit of like your massive fucking script, right? But I called them slides and not sides. It's a small thing, but it irks me to know that I'm that dumb. So, yeah. So the auditions, like I said in my post, I managed to get over 140 auditions for this role, which is crazy. But that's only because I used two sources for the audition. One was just the casting call video that I released on my channel. And people submitted straight through the email listed in the description of that video. And I appreciate those people that did that. I think I got like think I got like 20 submissions sent to that email, which was cool. And actually, out of all those emails, like there were people who did really good work, but unfortunately, I couldn't go with them because there was just someone that just had the essence of the character and fit the role like a little bit better, you know. But there were some like decent performances there that had like the main thing was like the quality of mic, you know, because if your mic quality isn't up to snuff, that's like an immediate like I'm sorry, I can't you know, take you in. Like the way I see it, if you're auditioning for a role, you want to it's like you're auditioning to get the part. So you want to present yourself in like the way that like you want to be expected to play the part. That includes like quality of mic, right? And so if you're recording from like a phone for your audition, I can't like that's not a good judge of like if you're going to be good enough for the part or not, in my opinion. So, but I used a separate application for the casting call called Casting Call Club. I think that's what it's called. It's like a website where it's just for voice acting talent, ranging from like amateur to like semi-professional to professional. And that's where I got a majority of my auditions from. And a lot of them were like, frankly, shit. I'm not saying that you know, I'm not saying that just to be like mean, right? Like I the people that I went with, there were people like under them that were just there, and just like the people that I went with for the roles, just had that like extra sauce or like something, you know, just something about it was like, okay, no, that is Brad, that's Danny, you know, and whoever else, right? And that's one of the reasons why I ended up voicing Skullface, because so I had made a specific note on the auditions for every character. I was like, this is how I would like you to play them, to play this character, right? It's like specifically for like Danny, like for example, like with Danny, I was like, don't put on like a kid voice, you know, don't try to make your voice like higher pitched or nasally, just speak in like your normal tone. I want to just hear you play the character. I don't want to hear you or I want to hear you just be the character. I don't want to hear you play the character, right? And so the same thing applied with Skullface. I made sure I was like, I'm going to put a modulator on the voice. So don't put on a voice. Just use your regular voice. And like my direction was like, this character has like a seething anger where like he sounds sort of like flat. But there's like a seething rage underneath the performance where it's like you feel as though he could break at any moment, but he also sounds like he's gloating a bit, where it's like he's boasting about he feels he's sort of I wanted people to play it like sinister, but not like cartoonish villain, you know, just to going a bit more like. In terms of tone, just like sounding a bit like getting in a lower register, but not like completely changing your voice. Because my problem was most people who auditioned for the role would like go in like a super gravelly like Batman voice where they were like, Halo is dead. And I was like, what the fuck? I literally put in the thing, don't put on like a deep gravelly voice. Don't try to change your voice at all. Just read the lines as you as intended with the and I what I'm focused here on is like how like your proper understanding of inflection and how you would say these lines, right? And like I got so many performances like that where I was like, okay, I'll just do Skullface. It's fine. It's fine. And so yeah. So but the people that I went with, really grateful for their performances. I think they fit the characters really well. And you know, like the episode wouldn't be the same without them. Like especially the B plot with Brad and Danny. Those two actors did a phenomenal job, I think, with the dialogue, and they really sounded like authentic, which was what I was looking for. I wasn't looking for people. I wasn't looking for actors who were playing the role. I was just looking for. I was looking for that character. Like a lot of actors, a lot of voice actors, the problem is that they sort of overdo it, and they put too much I don't know, they put too much into it, where it's just like it doesn't sound convincing. But my goal for these characters was I was just like, just sound like a normal person, you know, talk like if like for the most part, just talk very flat in your delivery, you know, like you don't need to put like extra emphasis on words because you think you're an actor. Like, no, you're not an actor. You're this character. I don't know. I don't know if I explained it properly, but that's what I was thinking. I was like, I don't want like a showy performance here. Subtlety is the key, right? Because we as humans, we're very subtle with our emotions most of the time. Like I could be talking to you like this, right? And I could be talking about my show, and I'm talking to you right now, and you could think that I sound pissed off. You could think that I'm like even though I'm like talking in like a super like flat tone, like I'm talking with like energy. I'm talking with sort of like an intensity that like shows like, oh, he's passionate about this, right? And so it's just like there's subtleties in voice work where you know, you don't need like the super showy like oh geez, Brad, you're in college? That's crazy. You know? So yeah, I'm happy with the people who I chose, and the people who I didn't choose. Don't count yourselves out. I might actually follow up with you on like later roles. I just didn't think you were right for those parts. But yeah, so there was along with the voice work, I did a lot of like the people in the crowd, for example. I played a lot of the extras in this episode, and it was mainly because I had promised paid work, and I didn't feel like I wanted to reach out to somebody who had submitted and been like, hey, so I know you auditioned for paid work, but would it be cool if you just read like one line and I didn't pay you for it? I just felt like that would have been like so shitty of me to do. So instead, I just did it all myself. But then in the future, if people want to have like a part in the show, however small, if I mention that it's unpaid work because the work is just like so minimal, like it would literally be like one or two lines. Like unless you're a recurring character or you have like a principal role in the episode, then I don't really see what warrants like a pay. You know, it's sort of like a wishy-washy thing because I do want to compensate my actors for their time. I paid every actor that I got in the episode because I want to compensate them properly. But it's like for those lines in the crowd where I'm just reading off like one sentence and then that's it for the role. That's all you hear from the character the entire episode. It's like it just wouldn't. I don't think it would warrant like a pay. You know. It's just more like a fun thing that you do and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll read for one line because I just want to be in the episode. It'd be fun, you know. But yeah, so I talked about the auditions and the casting. Okay, cool. So now, I mean, I guess I have like my outline here. If you guys want to take a look at that, I guess I could show that. I should have showed that when I was talking about the script, but I mean, I sort of went over it. I guess I could touch on it for a second. Let me switch my screen here. Okay, so right here is the fuck. Sorry, I was trying to make sure it wasn't showing any like information I didn't want it to on the screen. Should have probably checked that before switching over, but fuck it, whatever. So this is yes, I use Google Docs. I probably shouldn't, but this is basically my outline for the episode. It's more like an elaborated beat sheet. which a beat sheet is like a thing that you use in storytelling where you just like it just breaks down each scene in like tiny little like sentences, typically like 3-word beats, whereas this is like a beat sheet but with a bit more like detail, to so I have a better idea when I start to script it exactly, like the exact sort of like structure beat for beat what I'm looking for, right? But typically a beat sheet wouldn't look like this. It'd be a lot more simplified. But yeah, so we have it broken down from like every scene here. We go from the cold open, which is the B plot, and then we end on the sniper's POV here, and then we cut to black, and then we get the propaganda piece isn't here, but it says right here that Zach watches the propaganda video on screen, so I mean it's implied there. But yeah, so we get the propaganda video, and then we go through here. This is all of the A plot, and then we cut to black, and then we end here with the B plot, and then cut to black credits, right? And so this is just like a little sort of a breakdown of like exactly where I want the story to go from start to finish. Normally, when I'm doing outlines for episodes, when you're working on like putting together a story, the first things that I come up with are typically is like the beginning, like where the characters are in the beginning, and then like the crisis point, the climax, and then like a resolution, right? That's typically what I start with, right? Because at least for an episode, broadly speaking, for the entire season, the first thing I came up with was like a theme, and then like how do I incorporate, or how do I plan a story around that theme, right? And so so basically like the beginning of this episode, I thought of like the entire like cold open with like the Machinima parody thing, because I thought that was fun. I thought that was a fun little sort of like meta reference to the fact that like this show that I'm making now is like getting a lot more serious, but like obviously the seriousness in the Machinima in the opening of the episode is like ridiculously like over the top, and the script also just makes no sense. Like the dialogue is nonsensical and it's fucking ridiculous, and that was sort of to just like be a parody of like the show as a whole, but also like Machinima that like takes itself a little bit too seriously. Like I'd like to think that my show, there was like I'd like to think that my show has like a sort of like steady escalation in like drama and seriousness, and it's not. I don't think I jumped the shark here with what I did with the episode, or what I did with the show. Whereas like a lot of Machinima, they just get really. They're like, I can't stand overly serious Machinima, because it's just like, I don't know. Like that's why I'm happy that my Machinima takes place in like somewhat of like a real world like scenario where like they're actually like players are aware that they're playing a game, right? Because if like my problem with overly overly dramatic serious Machinima is that everyone knows you're playing a video game, right? Like everyone knows this is a game. So it's like you're asking me to suspend my disbelief and to think like, oh, so yeah, this show where characters, you can only understand if a character is talking by bobbing their head up and down. This show I'm meant to take super seriously, right? And it's just like I can't. I can't. So like I feel like if you're gonna do a serious Machinima, especially if the world of the game is like a fictional world, there needs to be like some level of humor incorporated that like allows the audience to sort of like get like, oh hey, we're just having fun here, like this is serious, but like we're still having a good time. We're having there's a couple of jokes, a couple of laughs. That way your immersion, that way it's like not like cringe. I don't know. There's some machinima that does it right, but most just don't really nail that like seriousness. They just kind of go over the top with it, and so that's what I was trying to sort of like parody with the opening of the episode. But so yeah, I basically I start off with like the opening. Usually, sometimes not usually the opening. Sometimes I try to figure out like the crisis. So the crisis is like what happens in the story that's like a critical point for the characters. It's basically like the turning point. What happens in the story where a character has to take a second and like and is sort of like confronted with something that is going to change the course of the story going forward, right? And so for this episode, obviously the crisis point is Zach finding out that he is the believer, right? And then I mean, if you want to break it down, not just by the whole entire episode, but for the B plot as well. So the A plot, the crisis point is that, and then the B plot, the crisis point would be, I guess, when they find the dead player avatars on the floor, because it's like it shows that's the point in the story where they're made aware of the fact that like something weird's going on, and then they find out a random player that they didn't know joined the game is like standing right behind them. So that would be that. And then the climax is basically when the climax is at the very peak of everything. Like typically a climax in like a supervillain story or whatever is when they clash, and it's like the third act, like final battle, right? And then so the climax for my episode would be when Brad is killed, I believe, and then after that it's just all like falling action, and then the resolution. When Danny's killed, and then it's a cliffhanger there, right? And so you break it up like that, and it makes the story a lot more like manageable to write and to comprehend. Because if you try to think of the story like all at once, like the full picture, you're gonna overwhelm yourself, and you're gonna start like for me at least, when I think of like the whole story at once, I get like nervous, and like it kind of like shies me away from working on it, right? Like, and that's where procrastination sets in, right? Because you get too intimidated by the work, you think it's too much work, and then it sort of pushes you away from it. It's like, I'll do it some other time, and then you don't end up doing it, right? So what I like to do is break it down, maybe like scene by scene. That way it doesn't seem too much of a task. And then you by the end you have a fucking 40-page script like episode 1. So yeah. But yeah, so basically, so production, I get all the voices together, and then I go to I cut it all up in the edit. And then the next thing is getting like a shot list and breaking it down with like some storyboards. Now for my show, I don't typically storyboard. I do shot lists, but I don't I don't write it down in like a spreadsheet. Like typically when you work on films, on a film production, a shot list is where you would have like a list of your shots. Like different setups for your scene, basically. So you'd have like your listing your wide shot, like all the types of shots, your wide shots, your mediums, your close-ups, your extreme close-ups, your over-the-shoulders, all that stuff. You'd list it all out. That way, your crew knows exactly what knows exactly what setups they need for the day, so they can better prepare for it with the right equipment and stuff like that, right? And so, but for my show, it's all me. I'm doing it all by myself, and I don't have a crew. I have an Xbox controller and theater mode, free roaming camera, right? And so I don't do shot lists like that. Instead, what I do is I'll cut up the dialogue in my editing timeline in Premiere Pro, and then I'll have a video on the video track. I'll just put like text labeling like each shot that I need. So if I need like a wide shot of like two characters, and then I cut into a medium on one character and the reverse of the other, and then like over the shoulder, a close up, stuff like that, right? So I do it that way. That way, not only do I have a list of shots that I need for the scene, but also I'm visually in my head and on in the sequence, I'm laying out the tracks for the scene, and so I can be like, when I have the shot finished, I can be like, okay, so this is my wide, plug that in there. This is my medium, so plug that in, close up. Blah, blah. So it just it's more efficient for me because I've already laid out the tracks already in my head. So then I just put the shots in there, right? Sometimes I will just sometimes when I put the edit together after the fact, I realize, oh shit, the way I had it envisioned in my head initially, there's something missing with this edit, right? And so what I'll do is I'll just go back into theater mode, and if I'm like, you know what, I think I need like an overhead to just like break like an overhead shot, or like a low angle here, just to break up like the monotony of like, especially in those dialogue scenes, when, oh my god, it's just like so much, right? Like, that was one of my big things with episode 1. I was like, oh my god, are people gonna think this is fucking boring because of all the dialogue? like oh my god, like I was worried because the scene with Zack and Hyperdial where they're walking through the map, it's 3 fucking minutes, but and it's all exposition pretty much, and I was like, oh fuck, are they gonna, is this fucking boring? Because after a while I was just I was obsessing over it, and I was like, oh my god, this is just so boring. But the reason why it's boring to me is because I've seen the edit so many times, just like, meticulously moving like a shot for a frame and then looking over it. So I had watched the scenes over and over and over and over again to a point where they just became monotonous and like dull to me, where like they lost any sense of nuance that I had written previously, that I had written into the script, right? And so yeah. So that's how I do like a shot list for my show. If I was working with a crew, I would be a bit more professional and sort of like anal about it. But because it's just me, I'm doing it in a way that works for me, and typically that's viewed as laziness. But to me, it's just more efficient, But so then after I have my shots listed out and laid out in the timeline, then I go and I start shooting. So biggest thing when you're working with Machinima is your blocking and staging. So blocking is where your basically where your actors are standing in a scene, like relative to the camera. And staging, I believe, is that has to do with like props and like now like the characters like relative distance to like in the set. If like they're like next to a table, like are they Are they gonna walk around the table? Are they gonna sit on the table? Are they gonna lean on the table? Stuff like that. And so that's the biggest thing for Machinima, because unlike real life, I think this is one of the drawbacks of Machinima, but it's also a perk, right? It's also a benefit, because unlike real life, when you make a Machinima film in like Halo, for instance, Halo has like real time like playback with theater mode, which is cool. And the perks of it, unlike real life, is that you can repeatedly rewind and watch a take of like a specific action over and over and over and over again as many times as you want, and you can try to get like the perfect angle for it. Whereas in real life, you can't. If you get the perfect take, but the angle is off, or like the shot is messed up in some way or obscured in some way, you can't fix that. And so then you have to hope that you get the perfect take again, but with the proper like angle or conditions in the frame, and that can be very time consuming. Whereas in when making Machinima, you have the same action. So if you get the same action perfectly done, then all you have to do is just find the right angle with the free roam camera. But the problem with that, in regards to actually filming, is that you do all your filming with Machinima after you've played out all the gameplay. So the way it works, for people that don't know, I would assume everybody watching has made Machinima or has consumed Machinima, and they're aware of like what to do at least. But for those that don't know, when you're making a Machinima, all the actions that play out in every scene, in every shot, is performed first through gameplay. Through actual people fucking around with their joysticks, pressing buttons, all this shit. If you reload, you hold down the bumper, you press X or whatever the hell, right? And you do that, and you play through an entire sequence, acting out as the character, bobbing their fucking head if you want to do that shit, if you want to spend the time doing that. And then what happens next is then you go into theater mode, and now you have as much time as you want to record the sequence that you just played out. But the problem is, you can't move your character once you've played out the sequence. Like, you can't like readjust their position. Even though you got like the perfect take in terms of movement, you can't readjust where their placement is. So like, blocking is really important for like framing, and composition. In Machinima, because you can't see your character from a third person perspective, exactly how it's going to look in the free roam camera when you're recording the sequence. You can't really do that. You can sort of kind of, if you're using like Forge, you can use the Forge monitor as like maybe like a template camera to sort of like maybe get an idea of what the shot's going to look like. Or maybe you could have like another character in the frame that's like out of the scene itself, that acts as like a camera. But basically, you're not going to know the kind of shot that you got exactly until you get into that theater mode and use the free roam camera and move around, right? And so you have to be very meticulous with your blocking and your staging. So what I do usually is before every scene, I'll go into Forge, and I'll set up like spawn points for where I want the characters to spawn. If I want them to spawn outside of a scene and then they walk in, they can do that. Or if I need them in a scene already, I set the spawn point and then they just spawn right in the scene where they need to be, right? And so then what I'll do after I set the spawn point, those are my markers. So in filmmaking, you would set markers down, which are like, typically they're like X's with like tape on the floor, and those markers are where the actors would be standing in real life. And so that's why you hear a lot of the time actors hitting their marks, right? So those marks are just like on the floor, and they have to like stand there, and those are like that's their pathing in the scene. So their first mark would be like, let's say it's when they enter the room and they stop at the doorway, and their second mark is at like the chair on the table, and they'd have to walk to the table and then hit that mark, because that's where the camera is set up to in the perfect spot for them to be visible in the frame, right? And for it to be properly framed. And so I do that in Forge by setting the marker with the spawn point, the first one at least, and then if the character has to move at any point, I'll record it. I'll capture like a still from in game, and I'll go into Photoshop and I'll trace over and put like markers and like arrows and shit to like just inform myself where exactly the characters need to start and stop. And I could show that to you guys, I guess, if you're interested. Let me see if I can find it here. I think it's... Yeah, okay, so this might look really scuffed to some people, but it makes sense to me, okay? So right here is like an example. So you can see here that the characters are... their markers represent their primary color of the characters, right? So the teal marker is Zach, right? And then the baby blue marker is or ice blue marker is Modest Morph, right? And so this arrow is indicating the fact that he is going to move down the frame, right? And then this next shot is where he's going to end up. So he's going to stand in between. He's going to stand on that marker there, inside that like box there. And then the orange one is where Hybrid Dial is going to stand, right? And so now that I'm showing it, it looks like really dumb and like stupid, and like it doesn't look like professional at all. But because I'm working by myself, it makes sense to me, and so it works, right? It just works. Then once you figured out your blocking, then you can actually start like acting out the scene. So then you do what you got to do. The character moves around, they bob their fucking head, they reload, they shoot their gun, they throw grenades, they do whatever, right? It's whatever input you put into the player. And then you go into theater mode, you get all your shots, and then you plug it into your and that's when you start editing. And so for me, editing is probably the thing that takes the longest, second to writing, because I really like editing. Because I just like seeing the project be put together, and like to see like what's in my head, like come together on screen, and for me to play it back and be like, okay, that's exactly what I had in my head, right? Sometimes I don't get it right. Sometimes what I had in my head isn't as cool as what I see on screen, and then I'm like, fuck. It's like, oh shit, what do I gotta fix? You know, what can I fucking fix to make this better, right? But So like I said, because I already have all of the shots listed out in the timeline, I just plug it in, and then if I need to readjust the edit, like a couple of frames or whatnot, like let the take last a bit longer, I can, or just readjust it, and then that's basically like the basic assembly of the edit. And so in editing, you have a couple of stages of editing when you're in post-production. You have the assembly cut, which is basically you're just assembling like a rough draft of the edit. You're not really concerned about this how it sounds. It's really based on like how it looks and like the timing and just like getting like a basic construction of the scene, right? And then next you do multiple passes, right? And so you do like an ambience pass, a Foley pass, sound effects pass, music pass, until you get to like a more finalized cut, right? And so that's what I did for this first episode. I did my assembly cut. I got it all together. I actually broke up the A plot and B plot into two different sequences. Just so I had like some separation between them, but also because it's just a lot. It's a lot. This is why you use proxies. So typically, when you're working with a lot of footage that's also high demand in like memory, like that are like multiple gigabytes of storage, you typically want to work with proxies, which are like lower resolution files that have like the same like codec. That way you can link them up to the previous file. So they're basically like low res copies of the original images that you captured that allow you to edit to where you can edit with them without sacrificing the exact like because your program's going to slow down if you try to use like the raw footage to edit with, because the more you put into it, the larger the file size is going to get. And so if you use proxies, you can use lower resolution footage that you can edit with, so it's going to be less memory and CPU taxing on the program, right? And so it doesn't crash as much. And so going forward, I would recommend to myself and to anybody else who wants to do this to break up each like scene into its own individual sequence, and to use proxies. I didn't break up the scene into I didn't break up the edit into individual scenes, so I actually, the program started to slow down as I went on, and that was frustrating. So yeah, future me is gonna do that and be smart and not be a dumbass. But yeah, so sorry. We're almost done here, by the way. Actually, like we're getting to the end. And then if anybody has any questions, because I ramble so fucking much, I might have covered everything. But if anybody has any questions, I can answer them, and or maybe I could just chill and talk about like other stuff, or do whatever. Because I'm not fucking going anywhere tonight. Where was I? I was talking about, use proxies, and yeah. So once I get the edit compiled, I would like to maybe do like a editing stream one day, just like a chill stream where I just like sit here and you guys watch me like edit a sequence or whatnot. I think that'd just be like a chill thing to do. That might be cool. I might do that for episode 2. Because episode 2 is it's probably going to be a fun episode to edit, just because the concept of episode 2, it's all like centered around like the where we left off in episode 1 with like the training montage, or it's basically going to be like a training montage, almost or something akin to like it's going to be like a tiny little tournament arc that you would see in like an anime. Where it's just gonna be like 2 teams put up against each other, and they gotta fight, and but they all fucking suck. So there's gonna be a lot of like comedy in that, and it'd be fun. But yeah, so then you do your sound design pass, with all the intricate stuff like your ambience, which is like basically like sort of like room noise or background noise. Which funny thing, using that map Highlands on Halo Reach, every 30 seconds there's like the fucking big like beam ray, like glassing ray from the Covenant cruise ship that like glasses, like slams down and glasses the planet, and it's fucking annoying. That it repeats like every 30 seconds, and it also like it would make sort of like editing together the ambience like really difficult, because some tracks just wouldn't align if you wanted to like it'd just be too complicated. So what I did was I just got I recorded like 3 minutes of like a sample from like a different map that had just like Foley and like water rushing ambience, and then like trees brushing and water rushing. Trees blushing, water rushing. I'm fucking stupid. I just got that audio, and then I put that under. I put that over the original ambience for the map. That way you don't constantly hear the annoying glassing cannon right? You only hear it like twice in the episode, and it's for specific moments where there's actually shots that reference it, right? Because otherwise it'd just be annoying. And then I do a Foley pass. So mainly my Foley is like footstep Foley. And so I've mentioned this in a commentary, but I pretty much delete all the sound from in-game unless it's like too like complicated and like too complicated for me to just like, or no, too redundant for me to like just delete it. But for the most part, like all my sound design is done in post, and so like for example, the footstep Foley, every footstep you hear in the episodes, no matter how soft in tone, or like even though you probably wouldn't like, if I didn't mention it, you probably wouldn't notice it, right? But it's a thing of just like it's an extra detail that sort of just immerses you in the moment. Because if you saw someone walking up to camera and they didn't have if they didn't have any footsteps accompanying their movement, you'd just feel like that like there should be sounds there. It sounds kind of like hollow if I didn't do that, right? And so I do that because actually the game itself, a lot of the time, it doesn't really pick up footsteps very well. I don't know why exactly. You know, when you have like these 300-pound humans in like full metal armor, you know, you'd think they'd make like some fucking noise when they walk around, you know. But so yeah, I replace all the sound, do a Foley sweep with like footstep Foley and stuff like that. And then like sound effects go in. So then I add sound effects like whether it be gunfire, or anything from like gunfire to like risers or stingers. You know, the things where like it just increases like the intensity of the scene, or like the tension, the suspense buildup. You know, and then finally, I reach a point where I implement the music. The music is the final thing that I do. And sometimes that's not always the right decision, because sometimes you want to structure a scene around a piece of music. Like, for example, if you're doing like a montage, typically you pick out the piece of music that you want for the montage first, right? Because the music is going to influence how you edit the shots together into one sequence, right? But my music was the last thing to be implemented in this episode, because I wanted to find the right like pacing in the edit first, and then score the music like how a like a movie composer would, where the scenes are already constructed and then they just layer music over it, right? And I wasn't able to do that before because for those of you that have watched the commentary series that I did on season 1, I didn't make my music at that point. I hadn't learned how to I hadn't learned any like music sequencing programs or anything like that. And so I was just choosing like stock royalty-free music that I could find online. And a lot of people who watch those commentaries will know that I fucking hated every second of having to do that, because it just felt like such a waste of time. Because a lot of the times when I was looking for the music tracks that I wanted, I couldn't find the ones that, like, in my head, I had like an idea of like, okay, this is the kind of music that I want, you know, like it has to have this sort of tempo. It has to flow with the edit like in this way. It has to increase in intensity here. And a lot of the tracks, I found something that was just like close, but not exactly what it could have been. And I was like, fuck, like I wish this could be so much better, right? So for season 2, I wanted to do the music for it. I wanted to compose a majority of the tracks for the show. One, because I wanted full control over the music that I use for the scene, so I can actually get the music that's in my head and like translate it to the scene itself. But also I wanted the show to have its own musical identity, because I felt like that was important, to have like tracks that sort of carried like an emotion or meaning to them, that I could then carry on later through the use of like melodies and like repurpose melodies for like motifs for like certain scenes or emotions or character work and stuff like that. I just felt like it was important for the show to have its own like sound, right, and not just like a generic like score that I could find online, right? So I did that. I downloaded FL Studio, Fruity Loops Studio, and I started to learn how to make music. I don't think that any of my music that I've made thus far is anything special. It's very simple. It's very like not complicated at all in the slightest. But I am still quite happy with the stuff that I have made. Like the track in the opening of this episode, this show. I was gonna call it a podcast, but okay. The reason why I didn't call this fucking the Piss Podcast, even though I think that's funny, right? The reason why it's called the Piss Archives and not the Piss Podcast is because, well, one, it's in reference to the name, and it's sort of like ironic, you know, the fact that the show is called the pointless, irrelevant, somewhat silly archives. You know, the fact that this show, like the fact that this is a stream, and after I'm done with this stream, it's going to be archived onto my channel, and it's going to become irrelevant at any point, like in the future, like that. I thought that was funny, but also like I didn't call it a podcast because podcasts, to me, don't really have like a visual element to them, and there's no real like chat interaction in a podcast either. Typically a podcast is just like a discussion between two people or like a group of people, and I didn't feel like that was the case with this show because I'm also planning on like maybe doing like some like live commentaries and reactions and stuff like that to like videos and stuff, and so I feel like that's just not what a podcast is, you know. But anyway, back on topic. Again, this is why this is called the Piss Archives, because I'm taking a piss, because I just ramble sometimes, and it's incoherent, and it doesn't make any fucking sense. But I hope it's entertaining at least. So I started learning how to make my own music. It was I'm happy with what I've made, but I don't think it's anything like crazy, you know. But I like making music. It's fun for me now. The fact that I'm able to make my own music and score my own stuff is something that I've never been able to do before, and so it's new and it's fun, and I really like it. And so what I planned to do is, because this is pretty much like the last thing I wanted to touch on in terms of like the show. I mean, I wanted to talk about like just my mindset after completing and releasing the first episode, but I kind of already touched on that, just how like I was feeling very burnt out and very like I was feeling very like you know, low energy, and sort of just like I needed to take a break, right? Because I was like hyper obsessing over every minute detail in the first episode, and I was being like very negative towards everything that I was seeing because I could only see the negatives. But after the show after the first episode was released, I took some time away, and I'm actually really proud of the work that I put in that episode. Like, I'm especially the B plot. I think like I said, the actors did a phenomenal job. I think the building of tension that I did with that plot was great, in my opinion. Like, I don't care if I'm sucking my own dick. I'm actually, like, I genuinely think that final scene in the first episode is one of the best things I've ever directed. And like edited, scored, you know, everything about it is great. The acting is just perfect from those two actors who played Brad and Danny. I think it's a great scene, and it really sets up the stakes for the rest of the season, you know, and what our heroes are gonna be going up against, right? And so I really like that scene, and so yeah, I think the first episode was pretty good, but I can't wait for you guys to see episode 2, because I'm actually gonna have a lot of fun with that episode. it's what you should expect from like open lobby. Just fun, just fun. Oh, my show is so fun. But before we go, I wanted to, I don't know, I felt like it would be cool to show like some projects that I made early on, like some music that I had made like early on, when I was first starting to learn, because I want my whole point of like doing this stream and also doing the show in general was to sort of show that like, and doing the commentaries and all this stuff was to sort of show that like you can do this. Like a lot of people, I've seen comments, people saying like, oh man, I wish I like, you're it's really cool that you've like dedicated this much time to like this show that you're really passionate about. And I used to make machinima, or I still make machinima, but I find it hard to sort of find the time for it. And the biggest thing that I have to say in response to those people is you never have the time for it. You have to make the time. I make the time for the stuff that I do. I work, I mean, I used to be in college, but I'm graduated now. But when I was in college, I was still working on this show. And so I had to make the time to work on this show. And if you're truly passionate about something, if you really love your the work and what you're doing, you'll find time to do it, right? And so for people who feel discouraged that like, maybe it's like, well, I would do it and I am passionate about it, but it's like no one's really going to watch it, right? I would say, and I mean, I know this is like super like just generic, and you probably would hear it all the time, right? But like, don't make it for other people, make it for yourself. Like, obviously, yes, you want people to see it. I mean, that's what, as like an artist or as like someone who wants to create something, you want to share it with people. You don't want to just keep it to yourself. But you should just focus on making something that matters to you, right? And making something that's like fun for you. You don't got to do like anything like too like deep and like serious and like rich in like dramatic themes and like a dark tone. Just like do something lighthearted and fun and stupid. Do something that makes you laugh. Don't and don't really worry about if this shit if what you're making isn't getting the views. Like my show isn't getting ridiculous views. I've managed to tap into like a niche audience that wants to see like fun videos, right? Fun like videos done in the style, done in the machinima form, right? And so, I don't have like thousands of views on my videos. I don't get like thousands concurrent views. I have fucking like less than 5 people tuning into this stream right now. I'm literally talking to like 2 or 3 people. But, I'm doing it because, I mean, I would just be talking to myself about this shit regardless, right? So felt like I might as well just stream it, but also it's just fun for me. And you should find something to do that's fun for you to do, because then you'll want to do it. Yeah. I think I made I made a comment on like someone's video, I made a few comments actually, but like I've made comments on people's videos, where they talk about like feeling like demotivated or like the creative process or whatever, like people like making shit. I've commented on stuff and been like, you just have basically I've posted like whole like fucking TED Talks, like, oh, like really motivational shit in a comment section that like no one's gonna read. But it matters to me, damn it. Anyway, let's why don't we go over some like early music of mine that I made, and then we can see the progression, and then we can laugh at myself. We can laugh at my early beginnings of music, because a lot of this shit is fucking terrible. And I'd love to show it off because I mean, there's actually some. I looked at this stuff like earlier this week to sort of like prepare for the stream, and there's actually some stuff that I don't mind. You know, it doesn't sound too bad. You know, like I would like to rework some of the tracks, right? But yeah, a lot of them are just garbage. So quickly, let's see here. Let's pull this up. Thank you for the people who are tuned in right now, by the way. Like, this is cool that I mean, you're not saying anything, but it's cool to know that I'm at least, you know, I don't have to be insane right now and just talk to myself, you know. Okay, so I'm gonna look for the first track I ever made. I don't know if I want to open. Well, I'd have to open it. Okay, let's see here. What's the date on this one? Like I started making music, like first started practicing like 2 months ago, right? Like literally on January 2nd was when I got it. Because my whole mindset for the year was like, oh, I'm gonna start. 2024 is gonna be my year. I'm gonna start like learning new stuff, learning new skills, evolving my my palette as a filmmaker, as a creative, and I'm going to get to a point where I can just be an all-in-one filmmaker, creative. I can do everything myself. And I was like, I'm gonna fucking make this show, and it's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna get the show done by like, I'm gonna get the entire show done by April. And then like a week passed, and I just had like the worst fucking like depression ever. I was like, fuck, I'm not gonna be able to get everything I wanted to do this year. I'm not gonna be able to get it done. And I felt so fucking like it flattened my mood after that point, right? But you know, but I'm feeling better now. It was just like at the time I was like, oh my god, this is such a good feeling. Like I felt like for a first time in a while, like I was actually like moving somewhere with things, right? And it just like I just hit a plateau, and I was like, oh wow, because I was like starting to make music, and then I was like, fuck, well, I'm just like making bullshit tracks, like scratch tracks, and I'm not actually like making anything. And then like for some reason, that idea just like fucking made me so upset, and I was just like, I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting my time. I'm not doing anything. You know? But all right, let's see here. Sorry. Okay. So Project 2. Okay. So this is the first track I ever made. Oh shit, I'm like so dark. Hold on. Let me like okay. That's better. Okay. So this is the first track I ever made. I was just fucking around. There's nothing special, guys. Don't like, it's a scratch track. Feel free to laugh, make fun of me, call me stupid. Here we go. Good shit, huh? This is fucking fire, right? It's on the next Drake album. Yeah, so it's literally just that. It goes on for like another minute. Oh shit. So that's the first one, right? So fucking basic, right? Like the claps, the fucking claps is... but I was just starting out, you know. All right. Next one here. Okay, this is another silly one. Get ready, guys. So this actually has like some like melody to it that I actually I would like to rework and try to fix up for a later episode. But I don't know. Like I'll have to rework it. So it's not like completely shit, but there are some like you're gonna hear it. Okay, so the intent was to make like a really like badass sort of like bassy like dark track, right? But it actually it turned out like pretty like goofy. I don't know. Hold on, somebody. So I have another question about the Fate. And sorry, dude, don't blame yourself if you spelt something wrong. I'm dyslexic. I'm probably gonna fucking read it. I'm probably gonna get it wrong when reading it, regardless, right? Anyway, so I have another question about the Fate, and sorry about my spelling. So what about this bad guy? Is he going to kill players to send them offline, or what does it say? Or hold on, I'm having to like because there's like it's covering this fucking icon on my screen is covering up. So about this bad guy, is he going to kill players to send them offline and get a life short? I think I can sort of understand what you're saying there. Yeah, so the idea, I think I touched on this earlier. But the idea was for that character, for what he says there specifically, is so he tells Danny to get a life, you know, like stop wasting your time. Not only stop wasting your time playing this game that's gonna, you know, be shut down in like less than 2 weeks, right? So he's telling him to stop wasting his time trying to like hold on to the past and like, you know, and like wanting this game to stay alive, right? Because it's going away. He just should let go and stop caring about it, right? But also he's telling him at the same time, you know, stop living in the past and trying to cling on to this relationship that isn't there anymore with Brad. You know, Brad has sort of set his foot in the sand and has pretty much blatantly like told Danny that he doesn't see him as like a friend anymore. They don't have as strong of a relationship. So Skullface is actually giving him like a proper advice there. He's like, don't like stop wasting your time with this guy. Stop wasting your time caring about it. He doesn't deserve the energy that it would take to care about it anymore, right? So he's just telling him to move on, get a life, quit dreaming, you know. And so then when he kills him, it's like a villainous moment because like the morality of like this villain, you know, taking away his online privilege, and his friend's online privilege, you know, that is inherently like wrong. But also he's sort of trying to help him in a way because he's like, you need to detach from, you know, the online world and go find like a purpose in your own life, right? So he's doing like a good thing, like from his like perspective maybe, but you know, morally he's taking away the agency from Danny, and it's just like, you know, it's just and sort of taking away like any hope that he could have had in like recovering the relationship with Brad, right? So that's sort of like the idea there. Okay, back to the funky track, guys. Again, really funny. You can laugh at me, call me shit, and call me bad things. All right, let's listen to this one. This is like, this. All right, I'll just play it. I hope it's not too loud, by the way. It's all right. It's all right so far. It's a little too like jovial for like instrumentation here with the snares and the hats. It's still all right. Right? just a complete like shift, like just complete fucking tone shift. I don't hate it though. It's kind of fun. You know, it's kind of fun. But it's definitely needs a rework. Oh shit! Sorry. Here, let me turn that down. Sorry about that. Yeah, but that's basically it. I mean, it goes on for a little bit. Like the part where it's meant to harmonize is the harmony. There's just no harmony there. It's fucking rough. Here, I'll play it. Hopefully it's not too loud this time. Here, let me actually see. I need to move this over here so I can see the audio level. Yeah, sorry about that. Let's try this. It's just like your fucking ears are getting fucked. Like it's incoherent. This like harmony just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. All right, yeah. So that's it. Probably definitely gonna repurpose the melodies there, but maybe just like change up some, because there's just something about it that's just off to me. I don't know. It's fun, it's funky, it's a little goofy. Like I like the second melody a lot. I think that's kind of fun. You know, could be like a fun little shenanigans melody, right? But all right. So what's this one? I think this might be a scratch track here. Yeah, so this is just like a cacophony of sound. I'm not gonna really take the time to play it because it's literally a nothing burger. It's just like a bunch of sounds in a project file, because I was just testing out like what sounded cool, you know. So there's literally no arrangement. It's just like fucking patterns everywhere. What is this? Oh god. This doesn't. I don't remember this one. Okay, so let me go through the timeline here. So those ones that you just heard were like made within the first few days, right, of me having FL Studio and working with a music sequencer, right? This is like a week in. So let's play. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. The fucking hats and clap, man. I swear, like, I use the same hats and clap for, like, every one of my beginner songs. That's it. So it goes hard, right? As the kids would say, this goes hard. All right. So yeah, that's a week in to learning how to make music. This is... Oh yeah, this is like another scratch track here. Just like nothing. Yep. So yeah, it goes on for a little bit like this. Kick sounds like shit. Oh wait till you hear the arrangement of the hi-hats and clap. It's the same fucking arrangement. What the fuck? What the fuck was I on? What the fuck was I on 2 months ago? Okay. What instrument is that? Chorder? Okay. That's an interesting instrument. I might use that for a track. But yeah. Shit. Dog shit. What's this? What the fuck is this? Do you guys want to see, like, these... I'm almost ashamed to show you guys, like, the arrangement of these patterns. Because... they just look like, oh god. Like they don't look impressive at all, right? Nah, you can tell how shit. You don't need the visual. You can tell how shit they are by just looking at the fucking thing. All right. What's this one? This is okay, this was made on the same day. On the same day. Okay, cool. Promising. Oh, it's the same fucking melody. It's the same fucking melody from the other day. Oh, God. Holy fuck, it's the same fucking clap. Oh, my God. Oh, shit. That's it. Yeah, God. All right, come on, give me something good. Let me find something where there's actually like promise to it. Like I'm not just like a complete fucking hack. What is this? Oh shit. I actually don't like. I don't hate it so far. This is made on the same day, by the way. 2 months ago. Same fucking hi-hat clap, okay. But we fuck with it now. We fuck with it. Okay. Okay. It's alright. Okay. Okay, just like a different pitch, I guess. Different, same like arrangement, different notes. Yeah. I don't hate that one. The thing that I'm seeing with a pattern, I'm seeing a pattern with all these like earlier ones, is I didn't know how to finish the tracks, or either I didn't know how to finish the tracks, or I just didn't care enough to like continue working on them because I thought that they were just so shit that I just stopped. I just scratched them and I stopped like making them in the middle of the track. I hope this is cool to watch. I mean, I think it's interesting seeing like the progression of like music from a fucking amateur, because I'm still an amateur. I'm making music in the most simplest way possible, just painting notes, you know, in the sequencer, right? Like I don't know how to play an instrument. I can like kind of sing, like I can hit notes, but like I'm not like a fucking you know, I'm not like Ariana Grande, you know. But I mean, I'm trying here, and I think this is cool to show like a process. What is? I think this is a scratch track for like a later track that I worked on, just like using instruments. Yeah. Yeah, this was meant to be like, this is like the predecessor to like the villains track for the show. Just like working with notes. Oh, I kind of like that. I might incorporate that in another track. It reminds me of music from Arby and the Chief. Did that inspire you in any way? Um, well, definitely, like, John CJG, inspired me to, like, I've mentioned this in commentaries before, but John CJG and his show, Arby and the Chief, I didn't actually start watching it until after I finished season 1, and at that point I had already outlined the entirety of season 2 broadly, so I knew what I was doing for season 2. But I tuned into his show back when I finished season 1, and the reason why is because YouTube, because I was making machinima content, YouTube felt it necessary to recommend me a bunch of machinima content. And so all of that started being recommended in my feed, and then I remembered like seeing Arby and like knowing of Arby and the Chief, but never having watched it as a kid. I think the only thing I can remember watching of John CJG's is the video he made like way back in 2000, like 7 or 8, when Halo 3 first came out, called Playing with the Chief, where it's like him, or it's like 3 players, and then they're on their team, they're playing with Master Chief, but it's like dialogue from the games cut together to like form like a narrative. That's the only one I remember watching as a kid. I don't think I watched Arby and the Chief as a kid, because I guess I just didn't get behind the fact that like the robot voices never appealed to me, and I guess the fact that it was like live action in machinima, like I didn't get it. Like I think I saw like the toys, and I was like, I just wasn't like really tapped in. I just wasn't feeling it. I was a big Red versus Blue fan when I was a kid, right? So but I rediscovered him, I guess, like while in the process of making working on season 2. And yeah, he was a big influence on me in terms of like learning how to make my own music, because once I found out that he made his own music, I was like, oh shit, okay, I can fucking do that. Like, because I found like a video of him like explaining how he made music, and he said he used FL Studio, and before watching his video on FL Studio, I was like, I always thought like, oh fuck, this is probably gonna be so complicated to learn, and it's like because before I'd be like, I need a specific piece of music for this project that I'm working on, but I'd be like, fuck, I can't find like stock music that sounds right enough, so I probably just have to hire a composer. And I did that for a few times for a few other projects that I worked on. But I wanted to be like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to learn how to do music, and he definitely inspired me to learn how to make music on my own, because he just made it seem so, I don't want to say easy, but accessible. Just seeing his process of how he did it. And so like, it probably reminds people a lot of Arby and the Chief's music, specifically because the instruments that I use are like the built-in plugins for FL Studio, which is the like a synth plugin called Citrus, and it just gives you like a bunch of different instruments, like synth instruments. And from what I can understand, he uses like a combination of the Citrus instruments, the Citrus plugin, and like some other plugins that he downloaded from the internet. And so, yeah, a lot of the like the early music that I'm making here probably sounds a lot like his, just because of like we're using the same instruments. But that's also why like going forward, I want to pay for more instrument tracks, because I want I don't want to make my music sound. I want to give like a unique sound to my music, and not so my show has like its own unique identity, you know. But yeah. So yeah, that's probably why it sounds similar. But I also would say that I give I'm really sort of like connected. I don't want to say connected. What the fuck? He inspires me a lot. Just seeing like the position that he's in, where he's able to make the stuff that he wants as like a creative, like whatever he makes, and he's getting like funded by his audience to do that. I think that's really fucking cool. And it's always been something that I've been envious of like other people on YouTube for, like the fact that they get to make like whatever they want, you know, and their audience supports them, and they actually get like, they can even get funded by their audience, and that's how they make a living. Like, I think that's so fucking cool. And, you know, if I was ever fortunate enough to be in a position like that, I mean, that'd be fucking awesome, you know? Like, imagine if I got paid to make this show, right? You know, I would take it way more seriously than I am now. Like I'm already taking the show super seriously, like the construction of it. That's because I really care about it. But if I was getting paid to do this shit, oh my God. I mean, I'd probably like, you'd probably never see the first episode probably would have taken another month to come out, because I would have been like, I would have felt more pressure to get it like just right, you know? But yeah. So, okay, there's only a few more here. I don't want to bore anybody who's like watching or will rewatch this. What the fuck is this? Another scratch track, it seems like. Yeah, so this is interesting. So I like this. So again, this is like a scratch track here for like a song that I made later on for the show, right? And I was just using instruments and trying to like make an arrangement that sounded cool. This is something like that. I don't mind how this starts, but then the pitch just gets too high, and it's like, it sounds like fucking like ear piercing. So be prepared. It's all right so far, right? Yeah, so now it's starting to get really high up in pitch. And that's like this could almost shatter glass with how high it's getting, right? Jesus. Yes, sorry. We'll move on. It's fucking ridiculous. Okay. So that was made, believe it or not. Okay, so all the tracks that you've heard so far were made within the first week of me having the program, right? Of me using FL Studio. Now, let's see. This is almost like 2 weeks later. What the fuck is this? Oh, I think this might be a joke track that I did with like my friends. I just was fucking around. Yeah. This is a joke track. It's a club banger though. Like that's what we were going for, was like a club banger. Oh yeah. Ooh. And then he wanted like a beat change here. Like a little like interlude to like this new melody. It's like such a weird fucking change up. It just doesn't work. And that's basically it. All right. so that was a joke. So maybe that wasn't the right thing to show. So let's try me actually working on something. Actually trying to make something cool. Oh shit. Okay, so sorry, I skipped over this one. This one is actually like the second or third track I ever made. I'm actually kind of like, I really like this one. It's like one of the rare ones, like from earlier, where it's like, you know what, I was actually sort of cooking here. You know, it's not like crazy by any means, but the sort of like the kick / like bass melody that is in this, actually I translated over to the track for Skullface's like intense like rising theme with like the white noise and stuff, but the kick melody is there, right? So this you'll kind of, but in this song the tempo is just it's higher, so the kick is like much faster than what it was, because in the episode it sounds kind of like a heartbeat when it goes boom, 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 boom. But in this one it goes something like boom, 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 boom. Something like that, right? Let's listen. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, there you go. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. I actually don't mind this one. I just think the harmony needs work. Like, I like that, you know? It's like, I wanted something that was like, made you feel like you wanted to fucking punch someone in the face. Like, this part, you're like walking up to him, you're like fucking, like marching, and you're getting ready to wind up, like just deck someone right in the fucking, like just sucker punch him. And then right here you punch him. Boom. I really don't mind this track. I just think I need some work, you know, need some fine tuning. The distorted like melody here, like the sort of like winding melody, I think it needs some work, you know? Like it kind of sounds cool, but I don't know. I just don't think it really works. Pretty much it. So yeah, I mean, this is like the first song that I ever made for the show, and it actually it influenced a later track that I'm gonna get to. Okay, so that was like, so now we're at the point. Now we've skipped a whole month, right? So now we're a whole month in. I started making music again for the show, and so we have. So the first one I did was this one, and this one I'm gonna like work on a little bit more, because I think I need like a third melody, but I just couldn't think of one. But I will. So I'm not gonna I'm not gonna do the whole thing. I'll probably skip around it because it's like pretty long. Because I sort of like left room for like a third melody, but I actually kind of like this one. You heard a little bit at the end of the of episode 1 when Modest Morph tells them like they're gonna need to do some training or whatever. Initially, this was supposed to be paired with the scene where Hyperdial has his exposition dump, But I made a completely new track for that one because I just feel like this didn't fit. It was like a little bit too fast in like the tempo. So not bad. I kind of like that that melody there, and then there's like a change up here, which I really like. I really like I don't even know how the fuck I got this sound, but like I was just like fucking with like notes, and I was like, oh shit, that actually sounds kind of cool. Let me try to adjust this a little bit. But here, this is the switch into the second melody. I don't know, there's something about it where it's kind of cool, you know? Alright, so then this goes on for a little bit longer until the two melodies combined, converge. So then it goes on for like another minute, and there's like a little like fade out. But yeah, so that was the first, my sort of like take on doing the hyperdial, like for the scene for the hyperdial. So this is when I was starting to actually make music for the specific scenes in the episode. Like I was trying to make music to compose for the episode, right? And so then this is the one that you heard at the beginning of the stream that I actually went with in the final for the final episode. So I'll just play a little bit of this because I played the whole track at the beginning. But this is a little bit of what it was here. I'll play like the beginning, and then I'll play like my favorite part. This is like my most, I think, most complete, like, the most complete track that I've made, you know, where I can kind of say, like, okay, this is done. Like, and I'm really happy with it, right? It's just a nice, like, little jaunty track. I don't know, like I was saying earlier in the stream, I was listening to this song multiple times this week. Like, just going on walks. Like, it's like super sunny, and I'm like going on walks, and it's like this song is so nice for that, you know? But my favorite part of the track is coming up here. Just let it play it a bit longer, and then we can stop. But yeah, I really like this track. I'm actually really proud of this. Yeah, I think that's the best track I've made so far. Shit. Okay. Oh, we're good. Thought I sneezed there. Okay. Almost done here. So the next So I only made like 2 more tracks for this episode. That one is like the one that's like the most like a song, right? This one is I call that one by the way, Showing the Ropes. I don't know, I just thought that was a fitting title. This one is called It's Not the Same. To sort of like because Banshee or Zach and Danny sort of say the same thing in this moment when they're like, "Oh, this is not the same," right? Or it's not the same when they're talking about like Halo and how it's changed. So I'll just play this one real quick. It's like more of an ambient piece than anything. And then I have one more track after this, and then that's it. And then we can end it here. So this one's sort of just the idea that I was going for here was like sort of sentimental, like sad sort of feeling. Like this is meant to make you feel like sentimental and reflective on like a distant memory, right? And this is the instrument where like this part in the song is where Jacob sort of like is pulling Zach out of the hole that he's in, and is sort of like reassuring him like dude, I'm here for you, it's gonna be fine. So this is meant to sort of like reflect that in like the way it's like the notes are arranged, where it sort of like goes up, goes down a little bit, and goes up and goes down again. And then paired with this. But yeah, so that's the idea there. Then we have so these last ones, these last ones aren't really like songs. They're more like scores, right? Like, cause this is meant to like score the scene with Skullface, right? Where it like builds in tension, you know, it builds and builds and builds and builds and builds, and then you know, it cuts out when Danny is killed, right? And it starts with the when that first like when he speaks, when Skullface speaks, you hear like this sort of haunting like horn, and this like this almost like cold like whistle, like whisper, that goes along with it. And it was meant to sort of sound very eerie and like dark, with like the implications that are involved in the scene. And so I'll play that real quick, and this will be the last one. Okay. I'll actually show this one because this is like sort of, it's a simple arrangement, but like there's a lot of layers to this track simply because like I used a lot of like fades and like risers to sort of like accentuate certain moments. So I'll actually show this track, and then that'll be it. So this is the sort of arrangement that I have here. I have 16 patterns or 16 tracks, each with its own pattern on it, and so this is sort of like an idea of how you would arrange like notes to make music. So each pattern is like its own individual arrangement of notes, and then like each track has a different pattern or volume level, or like volume transition level, whatever. What the fuck am I doing? Shit. Oh shit. Clearly I'm still new to this fucking thing. Look at all the fucking instruments I have here. This is ridiculous. But it's because I only used like 4 instruments on this thing. But it's because I was pulling from different instruments that I had, because I was just trying to see what sounded cool, you know, what sounded right for this, and then I arranged the notes accordingly based on the sound that I chose, right? Anyway, here, this is it. This is what plays right after Danny is killed, or Brad is killed, and Skullface speaks to Danny for the first time. So you can see that, like, there's like that, like, you can see on here, like, there's like a, I don't know, there's sort of like a up and down movement with the, with like this, like, bassy sort of, like, I don't know what you call it. I like that part, because that was when he says, I think he says something like, I did what was necessary, and that little, like, guitar, like, electric guitar string plays. I like that, too. The little, like, things there really bring it all together, right? Again, you can tell I'm so new to this shit. I don't even know what I'm talking about. But you hear there, so that that kick melody, along with this, like, synth bass here, is that's the same melody from that previous track I played, but it's just slowed down to sort of, like, build this intensity in the scene, in the score. Yeah, so that's the that was the track. I added like a riser at the very end to sort of, like, make it give it some extra build and to have, like, a sharp finish in the end product. But overall, that's the track that I used for the episode, and that is oh fuck. That's I mean, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to go over the production of the first episode. I mean, I had more stuff to talk about, like I was gonna talk. I had, like, maybe an idea to talk about the Halo TV show and, like, season 2 and how that's going. I wanted to talk about, like, film criticism as well, and then, like, touch on maybe some other things, like that new Avatar: The Last Airbender, the Netflix adaptation, and then I wanted to talk about Dune, because I just saw part 2 of that. But maybe I'll save that for next stream. I plan on doing these streams, like, maybe once a week, maybe once every other week. I'm not too sure. Like, to be honest, it was weird because I streamed, like, a little bit ago, or I used to stream when I was a lot younger, on, like, another channel or whatever, and I would stream to, like, maybe, like, a few people, right? But I never got, like sort of like an anxiety feeling when I would be streaming, like how you would for, like, public speaking or whatever. And maybe that was because, like, most of the time when I would live stream, I would be, like, with somebody else, so the pressure would be taken away because I'd be more focused on, like, the person that I'm playing with, or, like, the person that I'm hanging out with. But I mean, for when I started this stream, like, right before I hit the button to go live, I was like, I don't know, there was a weird feeling where I was like, what the fuck, am I like nervous right now? What the fuck's going on? I was like, why am I nervous? You know, because I've done this before, you know. But I don't know. I guess it was, like, the pressure of, like, not knowing what to say was, like, sort of, like, freaking me out. But I felt like I sort of went into it as I sort of fell into a rhythm as I got on. You'll notice if I'm, like, nervous, if I'm just, like, talking a lot without any, like, real pausing to my voice. If I'm just, like, you know, if I'm doing that and it's not just because like I'm intense, but like you can tell that I'm nervous, then I'm probably like anxiety ridden in that moment. But yeah, no, this was fun. You know, I had like it sort of like fluctuated in viewership. We had a couple other people in here at the time. I'm hoping that as I continue to do these, I get like a more frequent viewership, because I'd like to do other stuff with these streams besides just like talking. Because I can understand how like talking is kind of boring to a lot of people, to just like talk to be talking to directly to like a camera, and that's it. That's all the stream is. It can be kind of boring. So I'd like to like maybe in the future do some like live commentaries, and maybe do some like reactions to like other people's machinima. I think that'd be kind of cool, because I don't know. I wouldn't want to do it out of like, you know, I would only do it if people would like want me to, right? Like I'm not gonna just go out of my way and be like, all right, let's watch this person's machinima and let's just watch it to shit on it, you know? Like I wouldn't do that. If somebody wanted me to watch like something that they made, I would watch it, and I'd actually try to watch it and sort of like dissect it in like a way that would be beneficial to the creator and maybe also people watching as well. Because that's all I want to do. I want to make this like sort of an outlet to converse with you guys on like a more like interpersonal level, so I can like build an actual rapport with you guys, and we can talk about stuff besides you guys just wanting to expecting from this channel to be just like nothing but machinima. Because that's sort of my worry, is that like I become irrelevant, and all anybody cares about is the fucking stupid Halo show that I make. But I guess that's the point of this fucking program, because it's supposed to be irrelevant, right? It's supposed to be pointless and irrelevant, and no one gives a shit. Thank you, Slonk. Yeah, no, I appreciate you being here. I think you were here. You were the first one here, and you're the last one to log off. So I appreciate that, man. I really do. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. I'm happy that the graphics that I made for this stream went to good use, and I actually got some good use out of them. It pissed me off that when I first switched to this camera, the fucking my overlay wasn't on, so I had to click it on. So you just saw me for like a couple seconds, and it was like kind of embarrassing. I was like, damn it, I wanted this like cool like intro where like the door opens, you don't see me, and then the door opens, and I'm like, welcome. I was gonna like fucking like spin my camera around and be like, welcome to the piss archives, the archives of piss, where we just take a piss on the floor and we shit in the sink, you know. but yeah. Oh, you like the commentaries too. I appreciate that. Oh my god. All right, my dogs are like fucking scratching up my door. They want my attention now. I've been in here for too long. So I'll say goodnight. Have a good night. Slonk, thanks for being here, and for everybody who might watch this later on. You know, peace be with you. Whatever. I'll hope you guys tune into the next stream. All right. Thank you. And good night.